Okay, do you want to create new file? Say yes. Okay, see here, A is equal to a very simple program. Yes, P is equal to 20. C equal to A plus B, adding two numbers. So print, yes, addition. Yes, addition is equal to displaying that C value result. C displaying addition. Next, subtraction and multiplication. So addition, addition. Yes, next addition, no subtraction. Subtraction. Next multiplication. Yes, multiplication. Okay, addition. Yes, subtraction and multiplication of two numbers. So this is simple script. A very simple script here. So A value 10, B value 20, C equal to A plus B, A minus B, and A to B. Addition, subtraction, multiplication. A value 10, B value 20. A value 10, B value 20. Save and exit. Okay, now see DR. Here it's a test.py. That Python script, right? See this. Python script. Okay. Yes, now how to run it? Directly executing Python script, no compilation process. Suppose if it's C program, you have to compile. C program, you have to compile. C program, you have to compile. Java program, you have to compile. But here, no compilation process. 1 second. Hello. నేను కొన్ని క్లాస్లో మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేస్తాను. నేను ఇప్పుడు లేవాలండి కాల్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇప్పుడే చూస్తున్నాను. నేను కాల్ చేస్తాను. సరే. ఎస్ test.py. No, here no compilation process. Suppose C program first compiling then executing. C++ first compiling executing. Yes, all compiler-based programs first of all compilation means checking for errors. First of all checking for all the errors. If no errors then execution. But interpreter is not like that. Interpreter, yes, no errors checking, directly running only here. Directly program execution. So Python test.py. Directly, yes, Python, it's an interpreter. Python is interpreter. Yes, it's interpreter. Python is an interpreter-based language. So Python interpreter now executing test.py file. Right? Yes, addition equal to 30, subtraction minus 10, multiplication 200. So addition, subtraction, multiplication 30. So 10 plus 20, 30, 10 minus 20 minus 10, 10 into 20 is 200. Yes, fine. Okay. Yes, no errors, fine. Everything is fine. Suppose there are some mistakes, what happens? In scripting, there are some mistakes, what happens here? Suppose here, some mistake. Okay. Here, some mistake. Yes, here, one more mistake. So here missing comma, here missing bracket, here also bracket missing. Then what happens here? Save, and now submit again here. Save and submit. Okay, now let us run this. Yes, see this what's happened here. Yes, this first error, right? Yes, actually there are three errors. But only one error show. That means what's happening here? It's not checking all the errors. Okay, checking first error, this error, once error comes, simply stopping here. It's not moving to next line. So how it's working? Interpreter. Let us see how this interpreter is working. Yes. Let us see how that interpreter is working. See, Python script, how it's working. Yes, let us see very clearly. So how it's working, interpreter, how it's working. Suppose interpreter, yes, Python script, A equal to first statement, yes, B equal to 20, second statement, C equal to A plus B, third statement, yes, displaying, yes, addition, C equal to A minus B. Yes, displaying subtraction. Okay, next. C equal to A into B. But displaying multiplication. These are the Python scripting statements. How the scripting is working here? How it's working here? Yes, now interpreter. That interpreter. Not only Python interpreter, any interpreter working is same. Any interpreter working is same, no difference. Any interpreter working is same. See here, interpreter first of all checking for the first line. First line. If first line is correct. If first line is correct here, that line converts into binary format. First line, that line converts into binary format, zeros ones format. Interpreter checking for the syntax. If syntax is correct, syntax means rules. Rules. Rules means something like yes, where to start, where to end. Okay. Yes, where to suppose some bracket. Where to start bracket, where to end. W quotation starting, ending. Okay, some cases some comma using like this. Okay, some brackets, comma, double quotations. So that is nothing but syntax rules. Syntax. So print for print some syntax. Okay. Yes. C equal to A minus B for the syntax. So there are some rules. Every statement is having some rules. That is nothing but syntax. Syntax means rules. Syntax means rules. So what happens here? Yes. So here first interpreter checking for the syntax of first statement. Suppose syntax correct. Simply converts into binary format. Zeros ones format. Yes, this binary format is given to processor. So processor taking this one and generating output finally here. So getting output. So interpreter checking first statement. If first statement is correct, simply converts into binary code. That binary code given to processor. So finally generating output. Finally generating output simply. Finally generating outputs. Okay. So checking for the first statement. If first statement is correct, simply converts into binary format. That binary code given to processor. Processor executes that line here, then generating outputs. Next. Checking for next line. Checking for next line. Next line is correct. Same process. Same process. Same here. So next line also correct here. Same process. Convert into binary code. Then convert into binary code and given to process, then executes here. Getting output here. So first line checking correct, then execution. So first line over. Second line checking correct. Execution over. Third line. Suppose something wrong at third line. Something wrong here. Simply stops. Stopping. Because stops here. First line checking correct executes. Second line correct executes. Okay. See first line correct immediately converts into binary code executes. See next coming statements may be right or wrong. Next coming statements may be right or wrong. Interpreter never think about next coming statements. See interpreter never think about next statements. Next statements are right or wrong. Next statements are right or wrong. Interpreter never think about next coming statements. Yes, if the statement is correct, generating output over. First line completed. Next checking for second line. Second line also correct, executes. See next coming statements may be right or wrong. Interpreter never think about next coming statements. Yes, if the statement is correct, simply converts into binary code, generating output. Next statement correct, converts into binary code, generating output. Suppose something wrong, simply stops. That's it. So this is working of interpreter. This is working of interpreter. Okay. So any error comes, interpreter stops. Any error comes, interpreter stops. So this is about interpreter. Yes, let us see compiler. How compiler is working? About compiler. 1 second. Yes, about compiler. Yes. Suppose compiler. How compiler is working? Yes, about compiler. How compiler is working? Yes. Same thing, compiler. Yes, if it is compiler, how it's working? Yes, for compiler, let us take C program. C program. Suppose some test.cpp. Yes, how compiler working? Yes, in case of compiler, checking first line. Okay, checking first line. Suppose first line correct, even correct. Yes, it won't convert into binary. It won't convert into binary code. No, immediately it won't convert. Checking for next line also. Suppose next line also correct. No, it won't convert. Next, checking for next line. Suppose something wrong here. Yes, compiler shows that error at third line. Okay, after that, checking for next line. Like this, compiler checks all statements from top to bottom. Yes, compiler, first of all, compiler checking all the statements from top to bottom. Interpreter is line by line. So interpreter is line by line, but compile is all the statements checking from top to bottom. So checking from top to bottom. Suppose next one more error comes, one more error. It shows error at some line here. After checking next statement. So compiler checks, first of all, compiler checks for the whole program from top to bottom and shows all the errors. Compiler checks all the statements, but when come to interpreter, what happens here? Interpreter checking only one statement at a time. Checking statement and executing immediately. Checking statement, executing immediately. Yes, suppose something wrong here, simply stops. See this interpreter here, something wrong. Yes, this line, 8th line error. Now let us correct that mistake here. 8th line error. Yes, comma mistake, right? Save. Save and run it. Save and run it here. Yes, see. Now again error. 12th line error. 12th line. 12th. So this is showing only one error here. Any error comes, simply stops. Any error, simply stopping here. Okay. Yes. Now next, let us correct this error. So here, bracket is save. Okay, right? Yes, next, say this. 20th line. Yes, one more error. Like this, it shows only one error. Interpreter shows only one error. Any error comes, simply stops. Any error comes, simply stops. Any error comes, yes, stops. So any error comes, stops here. Now execution. See this addition, subtraction, multiplication. That's it here. Addition equal 30, subtraction equal -10, multiplication equal 200. That's it here. Addition, subtraction, and multiplication. That's it here. So interpreter, any error comes, simply stops. Interpreter checks only one line. Yes, if it is correct, then execution. Next correct execution. Something wrong, simply stops. Okay. So checking line by line checking, then execution. Line by line checking, then execution. So it's a line by line execution here. Any error comes, simply stops. But compiler is not like that here. Compiler checking all the statements from top to bottom and shows all the errors. Okay. Yes. Next, we should correct all the errors after correction, recompilation. After compilation, after correction, recompilation. When you recompile, suppose no errors, everything is fine. No errors, everything is fine. If everything is fine, yes, then compiler opens another file. If everything is fine, compiler opens another file. Compiler opens another file. It opens another file. After opening another file here, all the statements from top to bottom, all the statements converts into binary codes. All the statements from top to bottom converts into binary codes. That binary code write to another file. Yes, convert into binary codes and write to another file. Yes, all the statements top to bottom, all the statements from top to bottom converts into binary format and write to second file. Yes, this second file called as exe file. Is exe file. So what's happening here? It generates one exe file. So compiler checking all the errors from top to bottom. If no errors, then generates yes the test.exe test.exe file. Test.c file converts into exe format. That converts in exe format. So exe file is a binary code file. It's a system understandable language. Okay. Exe means executable file. Executable converts in exe file, exe format. That exe is given to processor. So processor taking that exe file, then generating output finally. Okay. Yes, let us see one example. C program. C program. Suppose this is Turbo C Windows based some C program. Yes. So here's some program. Math.cpp. Some program. Yes, program to add, subtract and multiply two numbers. Same. Yes, here main function. C program main function, void main. Yes, ABC variables. Yes, enter the first number, reading into A, second number reading into B, C equal to A plus B, displaying addition, subtraction, next multiplication. Okay. Now let us save it. Saved. Alt C. Compilation. Now just I'm compiling. Compiled success. Success, no errors. Now run it. Yes, first number 10, second number 20. Yes, addition, subtraction, multiplication. Suppose there are some mistakes. Then what happens here? There are some mistakes. Suppose here, for example, semicolon missing. Suppose here bracket missing. Suppose here comma missing. There are some statements. Suppose semicolon missing here. Okay. Suppose here double quotation missing. Okay. Something, there are some missing statements. Okay. Suppose here bracket missing. Okay. Suppose here the end here this bracket missing. Yes, now saved here. Now compile option. Compile option is compiling series errors. How many errors? Total 9 errors. See that 9 errors. Showing all the errors from top to bottom. Press any key. Yes, enter key. Yes, now see this. Yes, line number 16, declaration syntax error. Line number 18, expression syntax. So 22nd line error, 27th line error. Yes, 29th line error. Yes, 33, 40 like this. All the errors from top to bottom. Yes, compiler showing all the errors from top to bottom. So here what happens? Compiler first of all checking for all the errors from top to bottom. But interpreter, it won't check for errors, directly executing. Interpreter directly executing program. Interpreter directly executing program. But compile is not like that. First of all, compiler checking for all the errors. Okay, checking for all the errors. Okay, all the errors. Okay. Now showing all the errors from top to bottom. Compiler shows all the errors from top to bottom. Yes, let us correct all these mistakes here. All the errors from top to bottom. All the errors. Yes, comma missing here. Okay. Yes, here. Okay. Yes, here double quotation missing. Okay. Yes, next here bracket missing. Right? Yes, now save it. Yes, compile. Yes, still two more errors. Two more errors. Yes, these are missing. Semicolon missing. Okay, next here bracket missing. Right? Yes, now save it. Yes, overwriting. Yes. Now compile option. Yes, success. Success. No errors. Yes, if no errors, what happens? Let me show practically. No errors. No errors. If no errors, what happens? Running. Before running, first of all, it will create one exe file. It will create exe file. Create exe file, then execution here. Yes, see here back and exe file created. First number 10, second number 20. Yes, addition, subtraction, multiplication. Let me show that exe file in the back end. Turbo C, Turbo C, Turbo C. In C drive, Turbo C installed here, Turbo C here installed. Yes, in bin. Yes, at this bin location, all the files saving here. Yes. What is the name of the program file? Math.cpp. Name of the program file is math.cpp. CPP and C language both are same. Both using same compiler. CPP. Both are compiler based. Math.cpp. Math.cpp. Yes. So this is math. So this is math file. Okay. See. 1 second. See here math. Math.cpp. Okay, math.cpp here. Yes, let us open. See this. This is your program. The backend. So this is our C program. Okay. Yes. Now 1 second. File save. It's saved. Now here math.cv, time 9:43 a.m. 12:05. 12, see the timestamp 12:05, 12th May at 9:43. Yes, the C file saved here. 9:43 saved. Okay, after this, now let us run. Let us run. When you try to run it here, it will create one exe file. Now observe here. Yes, here creating one exe file. It will create one exe file. When you try to run it here, yes, creating exe file. See this. That exe application means exe file. 12.5. So 12th May. 12th May. That exe file created. Okay. See properties. Yes, math.exe application.exe file created. So math.exe file created. Yes, that exe file executes. So no errors. If no errors, exe file creating here, then executing exe file. That's it here. So this is what is happening with compiler. So compiler checking all the lines from top to bottom. If no errors, generating one exe file. That exe file submitted to processor. So finally generating output. Yes, in case of interpreter, what's happening here? Checking first line. If correct, converts into binary code, generating output here. Second line checking. Correct, converts into binary code and generating outputs. Now, what's the difference you observed between these two? Tell me. See, as per this explanation, what's the difference you observed? See this. Yes, here interpreter expanded. Yes, in next page, compile expands. What's the difference you observed in these two pages? Side by side, placed. Now, tell me the difference. What's the difference you observed here? Yes, come on, guys. See that as per this explanation, what's the difference you observed? Yes, this page and this page. What's the difference observed here? Yes, what's the difference he observed? Venkatesh Challapalli. That is your previous knowledge. That yes, same whatever the previous knowledge you have, yes, you sharing same chat box. Exactly what is observed here. Try to observe it. See this page and this page. First page, interpreter page and compiler page. What is difference observed here? See that? Yes, practically it's there. See that? Yes, come on, guys. What's the difference you observed? Yes, Kalyani, compile will verify the code. Finally, it will convert into binary. What is the binary code? Okay. See, yes, in first page, this is your code, source code, right? Second page, yes, so both are source codes. In second page, one more extra is there. See this. I'm asking what's the difference observed in my explanation? What's the difference observed in my explanation? See this box. What is this box? What is that box? Tell me why that box, second box is there, right? Yes, here interpreter case, we don't have second box. Only one box is there. That source code is there. Yes, here in second page, compiler case, source code test.c source code is there. And one more file is there. What is this file? What is that file? What is that file? Yeah, that's exactly difference. That's exactly difference here. That's a difference. So that's the exact difference. So different for exe file, right? Exe file, yes, that exe file generated. Okay, so this is difference exactly here. Exe file, this is main difference. Compiler generates exe file. Interpreter does not generate exe file. See, in case of interpreter, what's happened here? Interpreter, see that test.py, that direct script executing, Here no exe file, right? Yes, only test.py, that source code. So this is source code test.py. Yes, your script is a source code. Source code executing directly. Okay, source code. Source code. This is called a source code. This is called a source code. If the source code executing directly. Simply the source code executing directly here. Okay, no other files created here. No other file created. The source code executing directly here. Test.py. The source code execute directly here. Yes, in case of compiler, what happened here? In case of yes, in case of compiler, that math.exe file created. That exe file executing. That's the difference. See, what's the main difference between interpreter and compiler? Compiler generates exe file. Remember this. This is perfect answer. Okay. So till now, whatever learned, leave it. Perfect answer is exe file. So exe file. So compiler generates exe file. Interpreter does not generate exe file. Yes, let us see one by one. Yes, interpreter versus compiler. Yes. Yes, let me explain points wise the differences. Yes, interpreter versus compiler. The differences. What are the differences here? Interpreter versus compiler. What's the difference? Let us see the differences here. The differences. See the differences. So first, interpreter, next compiler, interpreter and compiler. What's the difference? First one, simple difference first. Interpreter, yes, how it checks the code? Yes, it checks the code. It checks the code. It checks the code line by line. What is interpreter? Yes, all the lines. Interpreter checking only one line at a time. It's a line by line. Interpreter checking code line by line. But compiler, yes, it checks. Yes, it checks the code. It checks the code from top to bottom. From top to bottom. All the ends from top to bottom. It checks the code from top to bottom. Okay. So interpreter, it checks the code line by line. Yes, compiler, it checks the code from top to bottom. Right? Next, even execution also line by line. Yes, it executes program. Yes, it generates output. Even output also generates output line by line. Yes, it's line by line output here. Line by line. Line by line. Compiler at a time output. See, compiler case generating one exe file. That exe file executes at a time. Executes and generating output here. So at a time output. At a time output. It's at a time output simply here. Okay. Yes. Next, interpreter. Any error comes, stops. Means it shows only one error. 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 Compiler. Yes, it shows all the errors. All the errors from top to bottom. All the errors from top to bottom. From top to bottom. From top to bottom. Right? Yes. Next, most important difference, main difference is exe file. Yes, interpreter. Yes, it does not generate. It does not generate. It does not generate exe file. It does not generate exe file. Interpreter never generating exe. It does not generate exe file. Compiler it generates. Yes, generates exe file. Generates exe. These are main difference. Yes, fourth point is important one. Main difference is exe file. Yes, interpreter it does not generate exe file. Yes, compiler generates exe file. Exe file is a main difference. Okay, see interpreter. See it executes source code directly. It executes source code directly. It executes source code directly. See this. This is source code, right? Yes, test.py. Directly source code running. Source code executing. Yes, in case of compiler, what happens? Math.exe file created. See 9:44 AM, 12th May 9:44 AM. Created and executed. Executed. So exe file generates and executes here. It will generate exe file and executes here. So it executes exe file. It executes exe file. It executes exe file. Yes. So interpreter generates yes, sorry. Interpreter, it executes source code directly. Compiler, it executes exe file, right? Yes, interpreter based language are called as scripting language. So interpreter based language, interpreter, yes, based languages. Interpreter based languages are called as scripting language. Scripting languages. So all the interpreter based languages are called as scripting languages. Yes, scripting language. Yes, compiler based compiler based language are called as programming language. Programming language. Programming, yes, programming language. Programming language, scripting language and programming language. Yes, interpreter based called as scripting languages. See examples. What are the examples of interpreter based language? Best example, Python. Python is the best example. Python. Okay, next HTML also interpreter based. Yes, HTML. In case of HTML, browser. Yes, HTML is a browser understandable language. HTML file executing by the browser. HTML. Yes, 1 second. Advanced Java. Yes, HTML. See, suppose here this is some HTML code. HTML code is login form. It's login form code. Some login form code. HTML code. So this is source code. Okay. Now just double click and running simply. Yes, open. Directly source code executed. No exe. Directly source code executed here. Now here, yes, browser is the interpreter for the HTML. Browser is an interpreter for the HTML. This is a browser understandable language. HTML code is a browser understandable language. It's a browser understandable language. Okay, so that HTML executing directly. HTML case also no exe file. Okay, browser is an interpreter for this. Yes, in Linux this is a shell scripting. Shell is an interpreter. Linux shell scripting. Python scripting. Yes, HTML scripting. Shell scripting. Linux this is shell scripting. That is also interpreter based. Shell scripting also interpreter based. So next one more JavaScript. JavaScript also interpreter based. JavaScript is not a Java. Java is different. JavaScript is different here. JavaScript is a browser understandable language. JavaScript is a browser understandable language. Java is a JVM understandable language. Java is a JVM understandable. Next, JavaScript using at the client side. Java using at the server side. JavaScript is a client side. Java at the client server side. Yes, what is client side? What is server side? Next coming. Yes, we'll discuss next coming. I'll explain clearly. So next, one more example, PHP. PHP also scripting language. It's PHP interpreter. Like whole scripting. These all the scripting language. They are scripting language. Scripting language. These are interpreter based languages. Interpreter based languages. Yes, compiler based. Example. C language is a compiler based. C++ is a compiler based. Yes, .NET, C Sharp. Okay, .NET, C Sharp. Yes, is a compiler based language. So these are compiler based examples. These are interpreter based examples. Compiler based and interpreter based. Okay, fine. Next, see, interpreter based language don't have exe file. Yes, the interpreter. Yes, interpreter based language. Interpreter based language. Yes, don't have exe file. Yes, interpreter based language don't have exe file. Here no exe file concept. Interpreter based language don't have exe files. Okay, one second, let me have some water. Yes, see, all these interpreter based language no exe file concept, don't have exe file. Yes, when come to compile here everything is exe file. Okay, yes, always executing here, always executing exe file. Okay, yes, it executes exe file only here. Yes, it's exe file. So compiler executes exe file, always exe file. So finally getting one exe file. Okay, then executing, right? So here everything is exe file. Finally exe file generating, then executing. So there are differences between interpreter and compiler. Main difference is exe. Exe file is a main difference. Yeah, that's all about, yes, interpreter and compiler. I hope you understand, guys. Is it clear topic? Yes, guys. Interpreter compiler differences. I hope everyone you understand well this is. See, generally here, no one will explain like this much of clearly. Okay, no one will give this much of clear explanation here. My topics will be like this only here. Every whatever the topic I will be explaining, maybe program explaining in the future, maybe application, maybe big application explaining. Anything is line by line, statement by statement, very clearly and explain. Like a spoon feeding, everyone can understand very clearly here. Clearly and in depth. Clearly and in depth. That is my way of explanation. Okay. Yes. Fine. That is my question. Mr. Syed Ghulam Muhyiddin. That is my question, not your question. Okay. That is my question, not your question. Okay. Yes. Now, see, here, doubt is here. Yes, this trainer is always speaking about all the basics. Yes, he's thinking about interpreter, compiler. Okay, interpreter examples and compiler examples, many things explained. But he's not talking about Java. Yeah, this Mr. Raman Rao is not talking about Java. Okay, that may be, yes, somebody may be thinking like this. Yes, now let us start Java. No Java. Yes, now question is here, Java, is it compiler based or interpreter based? Okay, Java, yes, Java. Java question is Java. Yes, is it compiler based? Yes, is it compiler based? Compiler based or interpreter based? Interpreter based. That's the question here. Is it compiler based or interpreter based? Or both? Yes, here three options. Java, compiler based or interpreter based or both. There are three options in this. So which is? Okay. Yes, now we have to decide it. Yes, first of all, let me explain about Java. After that, finally you decide it. Okay, I will explain about Java, how Java is working. But after understanding about Java here, just you decide it. Is it compiler based or interpreter based or both? You decide it here. Okay. Yes. Let me start Java. Let us start now Java. Yes. Now starting Java. Yes. Now I'm entering into Java. From today onwards, every topic is now Java only here. From this minute onwards. From this minute onwards, everything is about Java only. Okay, let us start Java. Okay. Yes, all the basics completed. Over basics. All the basics completed. Now let us start Java. Okay. Yes, Java. Is it compiler based or interpreter based? Let us start. See. Yes, except Java. Except Java. In other languages. Except Java in other languages. What happens here? Except Java in other languages. First of all, source code. Source code means this is source code. This code is called a source code. What are the program we are writing? This is source code. That source code converts into binary code. Binary code means zeros ones format, system understandable format. That binary code given to processor. The processor taking that binary code exe file, then executing, generating outputs. That is what is happening with other languages. Except Java. Except Java in other languages, source code converts into binary code. Source code simply converts into binary code. That binary code given to processor, finally generating output here. Yes, Java. What happens in Java? Let us see in Java. In Java, what happens? Java, what happens here? First of all, source code. Java source code converts into byte code. In Java, some byte code was introduced here. That byte code converts into binary code. Binary code. That binary code given to processor. Binary code given to processor. So processor taking the binary code, generating output. So this is what is happening in Java here. Just bytecode. So between source codes and binary codes, another code introduced, some intermediate codes, bytecode. Yes, what is bytecode we'll discuss next. I'll explain. In actual Java programming, I'll explain about bytecodes. See, binary code is different, bytecode is different. Binary code means zeros ones format is a system understandable language. Binary code is a system understandable language. But bytecode is not a system understandable language. Bytecode is different. Bytecode is different. Bytecode we'll discuss next. About bytecode we'll discuss next here. Okay. So between source code and binary code, yes, another code, bytecode, intermediate code. So why this bytecode introduced here? To make the Java is independent platform. To make the Java is independent platform. To make Java is independent platform. For that bytecode is what's introduced here. Yes, bytecode introduced to make the Java as independent platform. Okay, fine. Now source code to bytecode, who will convert it? Source code to bytecode. Source code to bytecode. Yeah, this is by the Java compiler. So Java compiler, yes, convert source code to bytecode. Yes, let us see Java example also. So here, okay, now Java. Yes, Notepad. Yes, for Java, yes, every day using Eclipse only here. Yeah, this is morning batch. That arrays explain morning batch. Yes, here daily class using Eclipse. Daily class, every program is Eclipse only. For understanding purpose, just I'm using Notepad. I'm using some Notepad. Notepad. Suppose sample.java program. Sample.java. Sample. Yes, now creating new file here. Yes, let me write simple program. Public class sample. Public class sample. Sample class starting, ending. Okay, next public. Yes, public. Static. Void main. Yes, string yes caps. Yes, string square brackets. Box. String area fox. Yes, main method starting, ending. So between this writing, like a C language main function here, Java also say main. Okay, system dot, yes, out dot, println, yes, hello world, hello world. Some example, very simple programs. Yes, control, yes, save it here. Yes, now dir, yes, sample.java file. So dir sample.java file created. Okay, see 12th May 10:06 a.m. See the timestamp. Just now sample.java file created. Now I'm compiling. Yes, Java C is a Java compiler. Java C, Java compiler. Java C means compiler. C means compiler. Java compiler. Now compiling sample.java file. Compiling sample.java file. Yes, compiled. No errors. Compiled, no errors. No errors, right? No errors. See that? Dot class file got it. Okay. 1 second. Del sample dot class. So deleting the dot class file. Deleted dot class. Del means deletion. Dot class for deleted. Yes, notepad, sample dot java file. Yes, open here. Suppose there are some mistakes. Here bracket missing, semicolon missing, here brace missing. There are 3 mistakes. Save and exit. Okay, now yes, let us compile this one here. The year, yes, 10:07, time of modification. Yes, Java C sample.java. Compile. Showing all the errors from top. Compiler shows all the errors from top to bottom. Now here compile working, right? Suppose if it is interpreter based, what happens? Only one line, only one output, right? Only one output, only one error, only one interpreter, only one error. But here it's a compiler. Java C, Java compiler. Java compiler is first line, yes, next line, next. So total three errors here. So compiler shows all the errors from top to bottom. Yes, it's a Java compiler. The Java compiler showing all the errors from top to bottom. It's a Java compiler. Java compiler shows all the errors from top to bottom. Okay, so compiler checking for errors. In Java, errors checking by the compiler. Java errors checking by the compiler. So all the errors are checking by the compiler. So compiler checking for all the errors. Okay, let us correct all the mistakes here. Semicolon missing. Yes, here brace missing. Closing brace. Save and exit. Yes, now let us recompile this one here. Recompile. Yes, compiled, no error. So sample dot class file generated. No error. Sample dot class file generated. Sample dot class 10:09 a.m. Just now sample dot class file generated. So what is happening here? Yes, source code to bytecode by the Java compiler. So what happens here? Java compiler. Yes. See. So first is sample.java, right? Sample.java file. Yes, it's a source code file. It's a source code file. The source code file given to Java C Java compiler, right? Java C Java compiler. Sample.java source code that is given to Java C Java compiler. Java compiler taking that source code here and conversion is sample dot class, right? Generated the dot class file sample.java to sample dot class. See that sample.java convert into sample dot class. Result is sample dot class. Result of the compiler. Result. Okay. So this is input for the compiler. Output is what? Dot class. See input and output. So Java compiler taking sample.java as input and generating dot class file. So Java compiler checking for all the errors. So here errors checking, by the error checking by the compiler, right? Yes, if no errors, then it generates, If no errors, then it generates dot class file. Generate dot class. Nothing but it's a bytecode file. It's a bytecode. That is bytecode. What is bytecode? It generates bytecode file. It's bytecode. It generates bytecode. It's a bytecode. Okay. So here errors. Yes, in Java. Yes, errors checking by the compiler. Errors checking by the compiler. If no errors, then it generates dot class file. Generating dot class file is a bytecode, right? It's a bytecode. Okay. So sample.java given to Java C compiler here, generating dot class file. Okay, fine. Now we got the dot class file, right? After getting dot class file, now I'm executing the dot class file. Sample dot class. See this. So first it compile, checking for all the errors and next execution. Suppose same thing if it is interpreter based language, Python interpreter directly executing, no errors checking, directly executing, right? Directly program executed. Yes, see Java first what happened in case of Java, first compiler checking for all errors. If no errors, then executed. Two steps. First the compilation, then execution. Okay, but in Python, what's happened here? Directly executing. Yes, no compilation process in case of Python here. No errors checking, nothing. Directly executing. So it's an interpreter based language, directly executing. Okay, now when come to Java here, yes, Java. So what's happened here? First step, Java compiler. Compiling. After compilation, generating dot class file. Now this dot class executing. Yes, who will execute this dot class file? Now what is this Java? This Java sim is Java compiler. This command is Java compiler. What is this command? Java means what? This is interpreter. Now this is interpreter. Program executing by the interpreter. This is now here interpreter involving here. Yes, error checking compiler involving. For error checking compiler involving. For execution interpreter involving. So program compilation by the compiler. Error checking by the compiler. If no errors, generating dot class file. The dot class file given to interpreter. Program execution by the interpreter. Then generating output. Hello world output, right? Okay, now what happens here? See here. So here source code to bytecode by the Java compiler. So sample.java compilation generating dot class file. So dot class is a bytecode. This is bytecode file. It's a bytecode. If this bytecode file given to Java interpreter. Next is what Java interpreter? Java interpreter, right? So this is given to Java interpreter. Okay, interpreter, right? That bytecode given to Java interpreter series. Bytecode sample dot class bytecode file is given to Java interpreter. Java interpreter, right? Now what happens? Now Java interpreter converts the bytecode into binary codes. Binary codes. Binary code. Java interpreter converts that bytecode to binary code line by line. Now program execution is line by line. See, compile time is top to bottom. All the statements from top to bottom generating dot class file, but runtime interpreter involving here. Program execution by the interpreter. So generating binary code, converting it to binary code. See here, interpret dot class file. Dot class file can some code, right? That code first line converts into binary code and executes. Second line converts into binary code, then executes. Third line converts into binary code, executes. No exe file, dot class file executing directly here. It won't create any exe file, just a dot class. The dot class file, yes, dot class file taken by the interpreter and executing line by line. So binary code, that binary code given to processor, that binary code given to processor. So finally generating output. That's it here. Okay. Now what is happening here? Source code to byte code by the Java compiler. Okay. Yes. Second step. Yes. Binary codes. Yes. Sorry. Byte code to binary codes. Second step. Yes. Byte code. Byte code to yes binary codes. Second step. Source code to byte code. This part by the compiler. Now byte code to binary codes. This part byte code to binary codes. Binary codes. Binary codes. Yeah, this is by the Java interpreter. This part is by the interpreter. This part is by the interpreter, right? Okay. So this part compiler involving. This part interpreter involving. This is by the compiler. This is interpreter. Okay. So compiler. Yes. Interpreter and compiler. So this is compiler. This is interpreter. So Java source code to byte code by the compiler. Byte code. Yes. Source code to byte code by the compiler. Yes. Byte code to binary code by the interpreter. Okay. So what happens here? Yes. In Java, errors checking by the compiler. Yes. Java, errors checking by the compiler. If no errors, generating dot class file. Okay. Next, program execution. Program execution. Execution by the interpreter. Program execution by the interpreter, right? Program execution by the interpreter. Okay. Yes. Suppose in case of interpreter, only interpreter, in case of Python, sorry, in case of Python, just only interpreter checking then execution, checking execution. C language compiler checking then execution, checking generating execute then execution. When come to Java, what is happening here? For errors checking, compiler involving. Program execution, yes, interpreter involving here. Okay, so errors checking compiler, compile, yes, errors checking by the compiler, but program execution by the interpreter. Yes, now tell me. So this is how Java program is working. Now tell me. Yes, now answer to my question here. Yes, Java, is it compiler based or interpreter based? Now answer to this question here. Yes, as per this expression, answer to this question. Yes, is it compiler based or interpreter based or both here? Now tell me answer. Yes, come on guys. Now it's depending on both compiler. Yes, answer is both compiler as well interpreter. Interpreter, right? See very clearly. Even kids also can understand this topic like that I'm explaining. Okay, practically, step by step, very clearly, spoon feeding, like a spoon feeding, practically, step by step I'm explaining. Anyone can understand. That is my way of explanation, very clearly explaining. Now, as per this explanation, it's a both, yes, both compiler as well interpreter. Java is based on both compiler as well interpreter. Java depends on both compiler as well interpreter. Okay, right? Yes. Now here's some question for you guys. From your understanding, what you understand till now, based on this understanding here, some question for you guys. Some question. Can we create exe file in Java? What you understand? Tell me. Yes. Or is there Is there any exe file concept in Java? Is there exe file concept in Java? Tell me what you understand based on your understanding. Tell me. Can we create exe file in Java? Is there an exe file in Java? Yes. Is there an exe file concept in Java? Yes. Come on, guys. Say yes or no. Something here. Okay. Yes. I'll explain very clearly. Suppose you by mistake, if you some wrong answer, I'll correct it. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Venkatesh, right. Good. Yes. We are the dot class file instead of exe file. Good. Good. Next, any others? But dot class is not exe file. Exe file is different. Dot class file is different. See, in Java expression, have we observed any exe file here? See, steps. Steps to develop Java program. First, dot Java file developed. Compiled. Dot class file got it. Dot class file executed. Have we seen any dot exe file here? Yes. Have we observed any dot exe file? No. Yes, in this process, in these steps, no exe file observed here, no exe file observed here. Yes, even in this explanation also, nowhere exe. I never, okay, yes, yeah, I never touch about exe file, right? Yes, when come to Java program explanation, Java explanation, okay, I never, yes, I never touch about exe file. Yes, source code explain, byte code, binary code. Binary code here, line by line converted binary code generate, yes, given the processor. So line by line interpreter here, interpreter converting byte code to binary code line by line and generating outputs, but not generating exe file here. Yes, no exe file. Okay. So Java don't have exe file concept here. Yes, Java don't have exe file concept. For this purpose, I'll tell you one more example. Java don't have exe file. For this, I'll give you one more example. See, any program, yes, executing any program, execute any program, yes, executing any program executing by the interpreter, any program executing by the interpreter, any program executing by the interpreter, no exe file concept. One more. Okay, see one more thing here. See any program execution by the interpreter. If program execution by the interpreter, no concept of exe files. No exe file concept. Any program executing by the interpreter, no exe file. See Python script executing by the interpreter, no exe file. HTML by the interpreter, no exe file. Yes, Java program also executing by the interpreter, no exe file concept. Since Java program executing, yes, executing by the, yes, executing by the interpreter, yes, interpreter, yes, no exe file concept in Java, no exe file concept in Java, yes, no exe file, yes, concept in Java, right? Yes, since Java program executing by the interpreter, no exe file concept in Java. That's it. Okay. Yes, in Java, see in Java, yes, everything is dot class file. Everything is a dot class file. Everything is a dot class file. In Java, everything is dot class file. So what is dot class? See, dot class file is not an exe file. Don't think it's an exe file. No. See, most of the trainers says that dot class file is a Java exe file. No, wrong. What is exact exe file? Dot class file? Tomorrow class I'll explain clearly. Exe file, who is dependent? Dot class, independent of platform. How? Yes. What's the reason? Yes. How? Yes. Why exe file is who is dependent? How dot class made us independent of platform? That topic tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll discuss. So dot class file. See, everything is dot class. Yes, in Java everything is a dot class file. Everything is dot class file. So dot class file is not an exe file. Dot class file is not an exe file. Exe file is different. Dot class file is different here. See, exe file. Exe file is a binary code file. Exe file is a binary code file. Exe file is a binary code file. Yes, it is a system understandable language. It's a system understandable. understandable means processor understandable language. It's a system understandable. exe file is a binary code file. It's a system understandable language. It's a system understandable. Yes, it's a system understandable. Yes, file. It's a system understandable code here. exe file is a binary code file. It's a system understandable. Yes, it's system understandable language. Okay. Binary code. Binary code is system understandable language. What is dot class file? See, dot class. Dot class file is a bytecode file. Dot class file is a bytecode file. What is bytecode? It's a JVM understandable language. Yes, it's a JVM understandable. JVM is Java Virtual Machine. JVM. Yes, this is a special topic on JVM architecture. We have separate topic, special topic on JVM architecture. Okay, we'll discuss. Okay, we'll discuss about JVM architecture also. A dot class file is a bytecode file. Dot class file is a bytecode file. Bytecode file. It's a JVM understandable language. It's a JVM understandable language. JVM understandable language. So that's all about Java introduction. Okay, interpreter and compiler. See, see same topic. All the points explained very clearly in documents. See what are the topics I'm explaining. Same thing is the document here. Even single line are not missing. Single line also will not miss in the document. Okay. Yes, my order of explanation document order is same. Okay. My order of explanation document order is same here. See, Java depends on both compiler as well interpreter. Get that explanation. In Java, errors taken by the compiler. If no errors, then Java compiler generates dot class file. Dot class file is a bytecode file. Java runtime by the interpreter. Okay. See, source codes. Same that what we discussed here. Okay, source code to byte code to binary code, processor then output here. Okay, source code to byte code by the Java compiler, byte code to binary code by the Java interpreter. Java depends on both compiler as well as interpreter here. Okay, Java runtime is an interpreter based. Any language runtime is interpreter based, no exe file. Since Java runtime is interpreter based, no exe file concept in Java. Can we create exe file in Java? No. There is no concept of exe files in Java. In Java, everything is dot class file. Dot class file is not an exe file. Okay. exe file is a binary code file. It's a processor understandable language. Processor understandable language. A dot class file is a bytecode file. It's a JVM understandable language. Yes, exe file is voice dependent. Dot class file is independent of platform. Yes, the topic. Independent of platform topic. Yes, how Java made us independent of platform. Now we can understand. Now we can understand how Java made independent of platform portability. Okay, so before explaining these features here, this is a topic prerequisite. Yes, yesterday and today is the prerequisite to understand Java features. See, most of the trainers directly they will start Java features. That is not correct way. Yes, simply they will explain definitions. Most of the trainers they will explain definitions about features and they will go to programming. But my way of not like that. Not definitions here. Clearly in-depth each and every topic I'll explain. So tomorrow topic is about exe file dot class file. exe file contains what? How that exe file linking to OS library, statical linking, dynamical linking, that concept here. Okay, after that, how Java made us independent of platform. Yes, most important topic tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow is very, very important. Don't miss tomorrow session. See, yes, one thing guys, yes, you joining into my batch or not, that is secondary. Leave it. Yes, you may be joining into my batch or not, that is secondary. But tomorrow class, don't miss it. Tomorrow class is very, very important. Yes, you can't see anywhere. Okay, no trainer will explain that kind of concepts. That kind of topics I'll explain tomorrow. Even in the world, no Java website will use that kind of concepts. Tomorrow my topic will see. Tomorrow topic, you compare with any website, no chance. Okay, my knowledge is different, my experience is different. So my experience and knowledge is more than the Java industry. more than the Java websites, more than the, all of the trainers in the market. You'll see tomorrow. Yes, even today topic also. Yes, no trainer will explain like this. How Java is working, interpreter, compiler, and all these ways, how ways is working. These kind of concepts, no trainer will cover like this. I'm sure. Just you attend different trainer classes. First 1 week, just you attend, just you see. Okay, just compare it. Okay, yeah, that's all. Tomorrow class, don't miss it. Yes, maybe joining into my batches or not. That is secondary. Yes, try to attend. Don't miss tomorrow class. Very important. Okay, yeah. That's all for today. That's all. Yes, enough for today. Yes, we'll continue tomorrow. So thank you guys. Yes, any doubts? Yes, any doubts from tomorrow class? Sorry, from today class? From today class, any doubts? Yes, no doubts. Yeah. So thank you. Yes, if no doubts, let us wind up session for today. Yes, we'll continue tomorrow. Tomorrow also same link, same time, same link, same time. So thank you guys. See you tomorrow.